Just in time to celebrate spooky season, Sony has uploaded 2 survival horror classics for PlayStation Plus subscribers. That's right, fans of old school tank controls are in luck, because this week brings both the PlayStation 2 version of Siren and the original PlayStation hit Dino Crisis. Yeah, that's spine-tingling news, but are either of these games actually worth playing? To answer that question, I decided to flip through the pages of Electronic Gaming Monthly, Next Generation, Game Informer, and more classic magazines to see what the critics said back when these games first came out. Get ready to run for your life because it's another scary episode of PlayStation Plus Review Crew.
Survive Dino Crisis.
PlayStation.
Having scared the stuffing out of PlayStation owners with the Resident Evil series, Capcom decided to shake things up by replacing zombies with the next best thing, dinosaurs. Released in 1999, right in between The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, Dino Crisis hit the PlayStation at a time when everybody was both scared and fascinated by everything from velociraptors all the way up to the mighty Tyrannosaurus Rex. It really is the perfect setup for survival horror, trapping the likable Regina on a secluded island that's been overrun by some of the nastiest dinosaurs that Capcom could animate. Never mind the fact that it just copies and pastes the story from Resident Evil, because the change of location and villain is more than enough to shake up the formula. With Resident Evil 3 Nemesis hot on its heels, what did the critics think of Dino Crisis? Now, when it comes to Electronic Gaming Monthly, they liked Dino Crisis, but didn't find the dinosaurs to be as scary as zombies. John explains that despite what you might think at first, this isn't just another Resident Evil clone. Sure, it has a lot in common with its stablemate, but it has enough new stuff to make you feel like you really are somewhere other than Raccoon City. As far as spooks and horror go, I think it has to be said that dinosaurs aren't as scary as zombies, although they can make you jump when they smash through the window and eat your friends. Sean liked the game a little bit more, but also took issue with the dinosaurs. After playing Dino Crisis, I've decided these supposedly extinct, cold-blooded creatures suck. Okay, so maybe they don't. I'm just mad because they, 1, scared the hell out of me, and 2, killed me. The latter being the bigger problem, of course. Seriously though, Dino Crisis is pretty solid in all respects, gameplay-wise, graphically, sound, etc. There isn't much to complain about. Heck, even the voice acting is decent. Any fan of Resident Evil should take notice. Electronic Gaming Monthly gave Dino Crisis an average score of 8.1 out of 10. That's pretty much tied with the lowest scores, with Edge giving the game an 8 out of 10, and the official US PlayStation magazine giving it the equivalent score of 4 out of 5. These are the outliers though, as GamePro gave it a 4.5 out of 5, and Game Informer gave it a straight 9 out of 10. Andy argued that Dino Crisis delivers more chills and spills than Jurassic Park. Sporting the world-famous Resident Evil gameplay, there wasn't too much that Capcom could do to screw up the dinosaur spin-off. The 3D backgrounds are especially nice as they speed up gameplay, display better depth, and darn it, look real nice. Dino Crisis doesn't quite have the same flair as Resident Evil, like Darkstalkers to Street Fighter. It does, however, deliver an entertaining experience that shouldn't be missed. As we climb up the scale, we see GameFan give Dino Crisis a very strong 92%, while Computer and Video Games went even higher with a perfect 5 out of 5. It's the same score we saw from Next Generation, who called it one of the year's best games. The real stars of the game, and what will immediately grab your attention when you start playing, are the dinosaurs themselves. Velociraptors move with an almost eerie realism as they hunt you down. Pterodactyls take convincing swipes at your head, and the pad even rumbles with the T-Rex's lumbering approach. As adversaries, they're far deadlier than the usual zombies that Capcom serves up, and twice as devious. Don't expect to take these guys out with just a headshot either. Unless you find some tranquilizer darts, you can expect a dinosaur to take several good hits before going down, and the T-Rex takes far more than that. Although the sequels never quite lived up to the potential of that first game, Dino Crisis was a fantastic debut that really shook up the survival horror genre at the perfect time. It may not have zombies and mutants, but Dino Crisis still offers a lot of scares. Nearly a decade after Capcom took us to Raccoon City, Sony decided that they too could scare up a survival horror game. What they gave us was Siren, the 2004 supernatural thriller from the writer and director of Silent Hill. The game gives us a spooky storyline, mysterious cities, zombie-like creatures, and yes, frustrating controls that make getting around a real chore. It's the kind of horror game that feels like it came straight out of the 1990s, especially when you looked at what Capcom and other companies were doing with the survival horror genre at the time. But even with the dated elements, Siren picked up a cult following due to the intriguing story and a few genuine scares. But what did the critics say? Now okay, this will probably not come as a surprise, but the critics were split when it came to Siren. Let's go ahead and start with the lowest score, which comes to us from none other than Electronic Gaming Monthly. John liked it, giving the game a 7 out of 10 and arguing, as with Silent Hill, the elegant, haunting atmosphere in Siren makes it a hell of an interactive horror show. But Siren strips your defenses and puts you constantly on the run, with virtually nothing to steer you in the right path. So, you're actually supposed to ignore the combination lock, find the bucket to stand on, and climb the nearby shack? Sure thing! Piecing together the correct tasks while treading water in a sea of red herrings means running recon a couple of times through the stage before you find success. It's a promising start, but I'm hopeful a Siren 2 will emerge to work out some of the title's annoying kinks. Crispin, on the other hand, hated it, giving it a 4 out of 5. Siren is an experiment gone awry, a confusing, fog-sacked combination of stealth and survival horror that'll drive you batty with frustration before it can creep you out. What the hell does a phone card, old nurse's shoes, and power line have in common? Why, you use all of this crap to escape zombified hayseeds, of course. Siren's mission-based levels are full of such random junk that you must mix nonsensically. Don't worry about pesky logic. If trying to solve puzzles the smart way doesn't kill you, the crack-shot undead rifleman will. EGM gave Siren an average score of 5.3 out of 10. The official US PlayStation magazine liked the game a little bit more, giving it a 3 out of 5. It got a 6 out of 10 from Maxim, a magazine that we don't normally turn to for video game reviews. And then there's Game Informer, who couldn't muster up anything higher than a 6 out of 10. I really wanted to like Siren, but in the end, I just didn't have much fun or feel like the innovative parts of the game were used to their advantage. It has good ideas, and I'm glad to see experimentation in survival horror, but this should be chalked up as a failed test in the genre. Now, when it comes to the higher scores, Edge gave Siren a 7 out of 10. GMR went a little bit higher, giving it a solid 8 out of 10. And then there's GamePro, who gave it a 4.5 out of 5, the highest mark of any of the classic magazines. Though there are some slight flaws in the design and production, the amount of tense paranoia produced, combined with the photorealistic character models, pseudo-scratched celluloid cutscenes, and the unnerving sound design results in the logical and exhilarating progression of the survival horror genre that should not be missed. Alright, I will admit, going back to Siren 20 years later is a bit rough. But the story is interesting, and yeah, there are a few good scares here. Not the best game in the genre, but hey, I'm happy that this PlayStation 2 title is finally available on modern systems.
Adventures of Resident Evil.
PlayStation.
Hey, thanks for watching me break down these classic reviews. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we have a whole playlist with more than 100 episodes just like this one. Give it a binge when you have a few minutes. Now, here's the question I have for you. What's your favorite survival horror game? Is it one with tank controls from the 1990s? Or hey, maybe it's something that came out in the 21st century? Let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back later this week with a second Review Crew episode. You heard me, a second episode. Yeah, I have some catching up to do. While you wait for that, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,